Welcome back to the Delaware Way. I'm Larry Menti. We continue our conversation with Wilmington Police Chief Robert Tracy. Recently, within the year, there's been a couple of high-speed chases that started in Delaware and ended up badly across the state. One that you were not involved in was the death of two mummers in Philadelphia. There was another one that ended with a crash at the Philadelphia airport. It made everybody pay attention to these high-speed chases, especially when they cross state line. Can we be doing better?
Well, it depends on the circumstances. It depends on why we're chasing the individual, what are the reasons, what are the protocols that are put in place, and looking at, the safety of the public as opposed to if this person does get away. So you have to look at all those factors, and each and every chase and why it starts and why it begins. We have to take a look at every single one. Anytime there is a pursuit, we have a policy that will review why the pursuit was started, when it ended, and what we could have done better, and why we were chasing the individual. So, in particular, we did have a chase that did go out of state early in January, and the perpetrator did get away, and there was some injuries because it was an accident on 95 right outside the Philadelphia airport.
Now, when that happens, is it protocol to call the state and tell them you were in pursuit, you're stopping pursuit at the state line, you should be aware of this vehicle?
Right. One thing that's faster than a pursuit of vehicles is communication over the airways. So our dispatchers will let the state police know, we'll let the county police know if we go outside our jurisdiction. So immediately we're notifying jurisdictions if we're entering their jurisdiction so they can be aware to assist and at least know why we're in their state or county and why we're chasing an individual.
I know that this has been looked at over the years. High-speed chases has been looked over the years. Is it the discretion of the police officer involved, or does he have to call in and ask permission to engage in a high-speed chase?
Well, we train our officers on why you can chase, when you can chase, and what are the reasons you're chasing for. So that discretion of the initial stop that's trying to be made when the lights, we never know when it's going to be a pursuit. You're pulling over a vehicle, hopefully they're going to comply. And when they don't comply, our officers need to come over the radio. First, they're coming over the radio to tell why they're pulling the vehicle over. And then, if the vehicle takes off, what is the reason that we're chasing them? Did they just shoot at somebody? Did they just shoot at the police officers? Is it just a traffic stop? So, there's all reasons develop, there's a scale of, risk versus the public and risk of this individual getting away. Do we continue the chase? And then our supervisors immediately get over the air. And when I say get over the air, they're listening on the radio. They make a determination after getting that information, should or they should not be calling this chase off. And then if it starts to go outside the city, then the permissions have to be put into place to make sure I'm leaving the city, I'm leaving the state, and what are the reasons? And then there's things and protocols that are put in place and why we leave the state, why we continue a chase.
When people talk about crime, all the attention goes to shootings and murders. Shootings and murders. I know you don't have that luxury. You can't put all your attention into that. Mm-hmm. But we've heard so much about the murder rate and the shooting rate in 2018. What about other crimes? What about property crimes? What about muggings or robberies?
Well, the beauty of CompStat and the methodology that's been brought in, that started in 1994, and it's really been something that a lot of other police departments replicate. And when they replicate it in the proper way, where I've been trained in the NYPD for over a decade in the CompStat methodology, also brought into Chicago, had some very good success, and now bringing it into Wilmington, we look at murders, rapes, robberies, aggravated assaults, burglaries, felony thefts, and motor vehicle thefts. And when you look at all these crimes, you take a look at them because there's different areas of the city that have different types of crimes. And you can't forget about all those other crimes. Yeah, you can prioritize what's happening with the violence, but you can also look at all these other crimes. And if there's increases in some of these things prior to years past, and we see a pattern or a trend, our officers are getting intelligence information. We're looking at time of the day of week, and who are the individuals that might be committing these crimes. And then we put a plan in place to try to prevent another crime from happening and make the appropriate arrests. And there's some areas, if you take a look in Wilmington, the Highlands, so the whole west side of the city, they don't really see really violent crime, but they see property crimes. And when you go to their community meetings, their main concern is, what are you doing about these property crimes? So when I showed up in 2017, my first community meeting was with the Highlands, and they were having an increase of 63% in property crimes. Wow. And I had just walked through the door, and it was probably the only time I was able to pull it out of my back pocket and said, I just got here. I said, I'm going to look at this, but the thing that I just talked about with the methodologies, we can do things about this, and we will address it. By the end of that year, almost 7 months later, we reduced it back down to a negative 2% to finish the year. And then last year, in 2018, we continued almost a 25% decrease in property crimes for 2018. So the methodology we put in place, they work, Larry, and they can work, and we can look at everything, and we don't have to give up the rest of the city or move resources and occupy areas for that. If we keep the same officers in the same area that know the crime conditions and get to know the public, we'll work in conjunction with the public on these conditions, and we'll get the results that we saw last year.
Wonderful. I always appreciate you coming in. Thank you so much. Wilmington Police Chief Robert Tracy. When we come back, a new sports museum in Delaware. We'll tell you about it when the Delaware Way continues.